like
So, does anyone else just think about like climate change? Like, you're probably thinking, oh, what about it? But it's like climate change is this new term that we've used instead of global warming, because it's not just the global warming. We have CO2 emissions, we have animals going extinct, and humans could go extinct. So what do we think about it? And it's this huge thing where it's like, oh my god, we're all gonna die. I had this guy come in from Greenpeace, or he used to work at Greenpeace, named Patrick Moore, and he said, oh, CO2 levels, they're going up and down. So what he was saying is that there's really just this natural cycle of carbon emissions, CO2 emissions to be exact, carbon dioxide. And so I was like, okay, but like, cool. Apparently that's still a part of the problem somehow, so I don't know. He's done plenty of research. I haven't looked into his research, but he's done a lot of it. And then, yeah, so I was still kind of like, what the heck? He talked about, in his presentation, about like ice in the Arctic and how it was like melting, but it was good that it was melting. But it's like, you talk to any of the people that live up north, and it's like, it's been melting at a crazy rate, and the videos of polar bears like stuck on ice, even though they can swim, but they're stuck on ice because they're losing their habitat, which is the ice, like tundra. And if you don't have that, well then you don't have a place to live. So say that humans, we weren't to have a place to live anymore. Say that all the houses somehow got destroyed around the world, all the apartments, everything just destroyed. We didn't have a place to live. How would we feel? You'd feel like you didn't have a place to live and you didn't belong. And so, like, I was really peeved by this. I was like, this is not okay. This is not, I don't care how factual this might seem, but it doesn't feel right to me. And so I've been really upset about this, and so today I'm creating this video to hopefully just create conversation around climate change and why it's important to talk about it, and why it's important to talk about people's health and the air quality and how that's being affected. People with asthma, what if we get to a point where people with asthma can't go outside because of CO2 emissions? Like that's a problem. People need to be better educated on these problems. Right now I'm in a human geography course, and the main overarching theme is sustainability. How do we sustain our society? How do we sustain our environment? And how do we sustain our economy? And so the environment relies on society to take care of it, and the economy relies on the environment for raw materials, and in turn society relies on the economy for jobs. And so there's this whole cycle of just society, environment, economy, society, so on. And so like, it's kind of difficult when people don't understand why we're fighting against fish farms and why we're like, hey, this isn't good. It's because we're trying to keep the sustainability of our wild salmon. Okay, we're trying to keep our sustainability. Documentary I watched in class the other day, it said that microplastics are in fish. We have microplastics everywhere in our ocean. Microplastics, for those of you who don't know, are tiny little plastic bits that are microscopic. Microplastics. So you can't see them, but you could find them in a fish if you were to analyze it well enough. And so I've supported the fish farm fight, I've supported climate change strikes, And I spoke at one of them and was like, yeah, this glacier real important to the Comox First Nation. Tells the story of Quinish. At one time, the Quinish whale had shapeshifted out of the glacier and saved the Comox people during the flood times. And so it's very important to talk about that stuff, because it's very important that this glacier stays there. Otherwise, we're basically screwed. Or that's how it feels. We might not be screwed, but it's one of the main sources of water, because water comes off the glacier and the mountains, and it goes into the lake, and then the lake goes into the river, and the river is one of the main places that we get our water. So it's pretty difficult when, you don't have that. So, some animals are starting to become more malnourished because there's not enough food for them. That's a problem. Different animals are starting to lose their habitat. Here on the island, different companies, logging companies, own their land that they log. It's not government land, and that's a problem because they log as much as they want. There's no regulation to how much they can. There's a certain quota that they meet, but then they go beyond that, and it's just too many trees are down, not all of them are taken, and then you have overforestation. Now, overforestation, the main problem is that at times it'll block streams and rivers, and fish can't get up river, or it'll cause blockage in the water flow, or it'll change the direction in where the water is flowing in general, and it'll mess up natural cycles. And I've been down logging roads in the valley, and we've seen overforestation where deforestation has happened, and logging companies, they're fine, but they do the work, and then it's like, oh, let's just leave this tree across the river because whatever, it's not in our way. And that's where that sort of ignorance comes in, and it just really bugs me, and I really don't like it. And that's why I'm going into the line of work of being a Comox First Nation Guardian Watchman. And so we do environmental monitoring, surveying, surveillance, restoration of the traditional Comox territories, which runs from about here in Comox all the way to Salmon River up in Sayward area, at the Kelsey Bay. So, I'm going into this line of work after school, after I graduate, and after I go to post-secondary, and, it's a passion of mine because I love being on the land, and I love learning about all these traditional, uses for things, and traditional sites, and, just being out on the land and the water, and even though it's in a boat with a motor, I'm still loving it. And so the thing that I want to leave off on is it probably have to be know who you are, know where you come from, and do what you can to help preserve that. Because without that, you are not yourself. Without the Comox Reserve, I'm not myself. Without my culture, I'm not myself. Without this identity of being a Guardian Watchman, I'm not myself. These are things that add up to who I am. And if we as a society lose our environment and our natural beauty of our waters and our lands, then we are not who we truly are supposed to be. So, thank you for listening if you come this far, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace out.